Maybe this could be the day. Maybe it'll stay the same. Maybe this could be the start of something.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Magdalena Campos. I am a certified national peer recovery support specialist. I'm also the program coordinator for Heart Life Ministries Recovery 180, and we have the privilege of serving the ROSC, which is Recovery Oriented Systems of Care, through the Illinois Department of Human Services. And we service three counties. We service Grundy County, Kankakee County, and Will County. But today I have the pleasure of having my brother, Elijah. Elijah, I remember him going to a 12 step meeting and hearing his powerful testimony and remembering, wow, his story is just like mine to the T. Like, we surrendered in jail. We started our recovery journey after jail. We were giving the opportunity to be on a problem solving court program and started our recovery journey. So I am so grateful to have you here with us. And I am going to go ahead and introduce yourself, Elijah. Let us know who you are and what you're doing right now.
Okay, my name is Elijah Barfield. I also am a certified peer recovery support specialist. Been in the field about 5 years, 6 years now, working with the recovery home here at the Brandon House and the young adult program.
Mm. Wow, that's awesome. Um, yeah, I keep on saying it with every interview, right? We turn pain into purpose, and just to
Yeah.
see the purpose that we are fulfilling just gives me goosebumps, that wow,
Mhm.
like God is working through us, and we are so grateful for that.
Yes.
I want to talk a little bit about what it was like. What was your addiction, alcoholism? What was your worst of your worst? Where were you at when you felt like, wow, this was looking back now, like wow, that was really my rock bottom.
It was about a little over 8 years ago. Uh, Wanting to stop using, but couldn't stop, and I found myself weeping. I was just weeping because I realized at that point I really am powerless. I cannot help myself. I had no idea that that day was going to be the last day. Uh, I don't even want to say I got arrested. I got rescued that day. And I remember when they put the handcuffs on me, I felt the sense of relief. And I
Mm.
said to myself, at least now, I won't be getting high. I had no idea I was about to go on a journey that I had never been on. I had no idea that I would encounter the living God in this situation, and that encounter would be life changing.
What was that's powerful right there. What was that encounter like for you?
Well, I had when I got to jail, I read something about ARI, and I'm like, oh, this would be perfect. I can get some treatment, only to be told that I did not qualify for
Mm.
any treatment because I was class X sentencing and had a mandatory prison sentence. I
Wow.
remember going back to my cell, and for whatever reason, I do have a diploma in biblical studies. So a Bible scripture came to my mind, and
Mm.
it was Psalms 127, and it said, "Unless the Lord builds the house, the person that builds it in vain." And I thought about over the decades how many times I had tried to rebuild and failed and rebuild and failed. And I understood that day I'm gonna have to trust God with this
Mm.
rebuilding process, and had no idea that how he was going to do that. I had no idea how he was going to do that, but I began to trust him that day. And I remember going to sleep and waking up and having this peace. Nothing had changed with my situation, but there was this strange peace that I had. I would sit in that jail for a few months, and I woke up early one morning, and I hope this don't sound super spiritual, but that day my higher power spoke to me, and he said, "Write this down." And he gave me 9 things to write down. Uh, the fourth thing that he gave me to write down was relax. I'm working all things out for you. Uh, 30 days after that, I was called to the front and asked to sign a paper. And I'm like, sign what paper? And they said, do you want to leave or not?
Mm.
They took me and they dropped me off at South Suburban Treatment Center. Mind you, I had no insurance, had no idea how this was even possible. But because my higher power, who I choose to call God, said, relax, I'm working all things out for you, these doors begin to open. And it to this day, it still blows my mind how it happened, right? They allowed me into treatment. I remember going in there and wanting to really get it this time. So I remember just focusing on things that I didn't know, making all the groups, right, taking notes. I remember they allowed us to go to one outside 12-step meeting. It was an NA meeting, and they said the person with the least amount of clean time gets a free basic text. I said, I was the person who had the least amount of clean time. And I went up and I asked, how much does this book cost? And they said, the book is free because you have the least amount of clean time. I said, no. How much does the book cost? They're like, why would you want to pay for the book? I said, because I need to make an investment in my recovery. So I bought that book. I read that book. I studied that book, and it helped me tremendously, right? Because I'm reading about myself, and some of this stuff I was already experiencing, so I knew I'm on the right path. And then I seen the steps, and I was like, wait a minute, this is biblical stuff here.
Mhm.
I said, this is biblical stuff here, and so
Mhm.
I really got into it. But one thing I read in the book in the introduction, it said, and it was a basic text. It said that it was not a book about addiction. It was a book about recovery. In that once an addict, always an addict was an old lie. I bought that. I bought into that. And I stopped referring to myself as an alcoholic or addict and just begin to refer to myself as a person in recovery. I found out once I went to school that by me uh, saying that, identifying in those terms was actually negative self talk.
Yeah.
So when I started identifying as a person in recovery, I started thinking recovery. I started acting recovery. I started living recovery. I'm like, okay, I like this. And so it's been a really amazing journey. I remember getting out of the 28 days. I didn't want to get out. I, I tried to get them to send me to a 2-year program.
Wow.
Mind you, I had decades of failure. So, and I didn't want to fail this time. I knew I needed something more than the 28 days. Um, but the counselor I had, he said, no, I think you're ready. And I'm like, he must not know who he talking to. I'm definitely not ready. Uh, and I said, well, I don't have nowhere to go. You got to send me somewhere else. And he says, your sister came and dropped you some stuff off, so maybe you can go live with her. And I said to myself, I got him now, because ain't no way my sister's gonna let me come live with her. She'd kick me out 3 times. So I
Mhm.
know she's gonna let me come back there. But so I put him on speaker and called my sister. And I said, this counselor wants me to ask you if I could come live with you. And she said, yes, come on. I'm like, what? That's not the answer I was expecting. And I remember getting out of treatment uh, on the 14th, Valentine's Day of 2019. On the 15th, I showed up at Stepping Stones to sign up for IOP. And on that day, I'm talking to the person like I'm talking to you today, and she stops writing and she said, you know what? You could work here. I'm like, wait a minute. I'm coming to get treatment and they're offering me a job.
Wow.
And what God said to me in that sale came back. Relax. I'm
Yeah.
working all things out for you. And sure enough, uh, I did end up getting employment at Stepping Stones. And that's how I got into this field. I happen to be uh, out on bond, still on this case in for about 4 years. I'm out on bond. COVID hit, and then on the last day of court, I remember saying to God, "Today is the last day." They didn't told me I'm between a rock and a hard place. They didn't told me I either take the deal of 6 years or go to trial. Uh,
Mm.
I'm not taking the deal now because I heard what God said, and I can't go to trial because I'm guilty. So I really was between a rock and a hard place. And that morning, he spoke again, and he said, "I'm shifting you from where they're telling you no to where they're going to tell you yes." And I remember talking to the same judge who told me I did not qualify, Judge Daniel Rippey. And I said, "Can I be reconsidered for drug court?" And he said, "You know what? I think that'd be a good idea. I think you'd be a good fit." And just like God told me that morning, they shifted me
Wow.
over to Judge Fred Harvey, who
Wow.
told me yes. Uh, completed the drug court program, um, immediately started working down here at the Brandon House. And I can honestly say this: when I didn't want it, nobody could make me get it.
Mm.
But when I really wanted it, could nobody stop me,
Yeah.
right? I had uh, developed the same kind of hunger for recovery as I had to get high, right?
Mm.
I went
Mm.
for my recovery just as hard as I went for the drug of choice that I had. And I remember this this that compulsion that I had. It was like it was just taken right up out of me, right? I didn't struggle with wanting to use anymore. I remember they told me in treatment, when you get out, make 90 meetings in 90 days.
Mhm.
I made 200 meetings in 200 days because I
Wow.
wanted something I never had. I became willing to do something I had never done. I understood that the information that I had been getting all these years without the application only left me in stagnation. I could never really get the revelation of really what was going on. And I kept ending up back in devastation. Now I'm applying this information and I'm able to receive the benefits of
Mm.
it and see the benefits of it. And it has been and continues to be a pretty amazing journey for me.
Three things that I, as you were talking, and actually I had to write them down because otherwise I'll forget. Surrender, right? I that's
Mhm.
where when you were speaking about your surrender in one of the meetings that the first times I heard you speak, and I too try to be very careful with the words that I'm saying because a lot of people don't want to hear that spirituality or don't want to hear the word God. So I try to meet people where they're at, right? But
Mhm.
I remember the first time me saying like God spoke to me.
Hmm.
He told me to be still. Before
Yeah.
I even read a Bible, I had never read a Bible in my life. And
Yeah.
I'm sitting in jail and he woke me up and he's like, "Be still."
Yes.
And I was like, "Okay, I'm probably just doing too much. I gotta slow down, whatever, right?"
Yeah.
And then fast forward a year later, I pick up a Bible and I'm going through the Bible, and what do I go? I be still and know that I am God, right?
Yes.
I
Yes.
when I read that, I literally it was like this other realm open and my mind opened and I was like, that's what I heard in that cell. It was God speaking to me. So
Yes.
then I came to believe that there
Yes.
is a God who loves me and speaks to me. I just need to be in alignment with his will to
Yes.
be able to listen to his voice.
Yes.
So that's very powerful. The
Yes.
other thing you said also is, a lot of times I too am very careful about the words that I say because I do say I am a recovered alcoholic, right?
Hmm.
Because I am no longer in the compulsion of wanting to drink or
Hmm.
wanting to use drugs. So I
Hmm.
am a recovered, right?
Hmm.
Recovered alcoholic, because it is the way we speak to ourselves is what we are telling our brains that are doing. So if I'm still an alcoholic, I'm going to be an alcoholic and my
Yeah.
mind's not changing and my behavior is not changing, right? So I do, to each his own. Wherever people are at in their recovery journey, I just give them props. But for me, right, for me, I choose to say that I am a recovered
Yeah.
alcoholic.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and the compulsion, wow, that's something I always my compulsion went from alcohol and drugs to God. That's
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
compulsion today. And that is a great compulsion to have because I've got nothing but good things out of this
Yeah.
compulsion. I've
Yes.
gotten my life back, my kids back. I've gotten, my dignity back. I've
Hmm.
gotten my self esteem back. I've gotten all these things that I didn't think were possible. And then I'm also able to, like you said, be selfless and be able to give back what he gave me so that
Yeah.
I may help others. And that's one of the biggest things for me, that selfishness has disappeared. Like
Yeah.
I no longer talk about I. It's we, and how can we work together?
Yes.
So those are three things that I wanted to touch on. Those are very powerful.
Yeah.
One thing I did want you to tell me is with I know we talked you talked about drug court, and what is one thing that you need to do, as I call them rituals, right? Like I need to wake up and read my Bible. I need to reflect. I need to meditate and listen to. So what is your, I should say, your routine like?
My the thing that I have to do to keep moving forward is to practice these spiritual principles. Because when I think about it, I was practicing spiritual principles that took me down the path that I was on. It was just the wrong spiritual principles. So the spiritual principles work either way. If you
Mhm,
practice the right spiritual principles, you get the right results. You practice the wrong spiritual principles, you end up in situations like we found ourselves in. So the thing for me is practicing principles help me to keep moving forward. It helps me to stay in what you talked about earlier, in alignment with the assignment that God has for me. So that's uh, the thing that keeps me rooted, keeps me grounded, because I understand there's no there, right?
mhm,
I'm
mhm,
8 years in now, but there's no there. And I share this with my clients all the time. My brother fit in that same seat that you're sitting in. If I don't keep doing the things that I need to do, I think I read somewhere where it says complacency is
mhm,
the enemy of
mhm,
recovery. And I focused a lot on recovery because recovery, when I looked into it, uh, let me go back. When I went to my first meeting, and it was a lady, she had 24 years, and she said something I had never heard. She said, clean time doesn't equal recovery. And I'm like, what in the world is she talking about? Uh,
Mhm.
so that sent me on another path. I want to find out what recovery is. And I found out it was change. And I
Mhm.
found out it was transformation. And I found out I can't change or nor transform myself. I
Yep.
definitely needed to believe in something greater than me, greater than my addiction. Because I found when I would try to restore myself, I would restore myself to stuff I wasn't ready for.
Mm.
But when I
Mhm.
learned to wait, everything I've gotten in uh, uh, this journey now, I've been ready to have it. Right? It didn't cause me to want to pat myself on the back. It didn't cause me to want to go show everybody what's going on in my life. It brought about some humility because I understood I'm not doing this. I
Mhm.
just became a willing participant in God's building process
Mm.
because everything that has occurred, He's built.
Yeah.
My how I would do things was it would be like trying to build a tent, right? I wanted something quick, I wanted something fast, and the storms of life would always blow over my tent. But I
Mm.
found in letting God do it, He's in the building skyscrapers, right?
Yeah.
So when the storms of life come, I have bent, but I have not broke. You know, challenges happen, and that's where we grow. We grow in adversity. Uh, so anybody thinking that simply because we come out of our addiction, that life is not going to happen, it's still going to happen.
Mhm.
But how we deal with it is different, right?
Yeah.
I uh, I choose to be a optimist. You got two type of people: an optimist and a pessimist. A pessimist is always going to see difficulty in every opportunity, and the
Mhm.
optimist is always going to see opportunity in every difficulty. So I've learned to embrace challenges because that's where I grow. When I see the storms of life coming, in my mind now, oh, he got something better for me. So
Yep.
I need to deal with what I need to deal with. Because you really don't know where you really are until you're challenged,
Yeah.
right? I was a thief, so one of my first challenges was going to the ATM, finding a card with a receipt, uh, and immediately putting that thing in the night deposit box. I knew I had changed because uh, yeah, I would have definitely did something else with
Yeah.
that card
Yeah.
8 years ago. But these are the uh, tests don't come announced. But
Yes.
when we pass those tests, because I found out I could put something in my hand, but it's nothing compared to what God has in His.
Yes.
And I don't want to forfeit what He has in His hand for me, trying to get something in my own hand. I've learned this process is necessary in the process. If I could help somebody today, is that it's a series of actions and steps that we have to take to achieve a certain outcome. Everything that I've set out to achieve, man, it was a process.
Yeah.
It was absolutely a process. I'm still in the process, still learning, still growing.
Yeah.
Uh, and I pray I keep that mindset, and I pray that I
Mhm.
can always play the tape
Yeah.
all the way through. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. You said something powerful last time we met, and I heard it before, but that day it just really hit me and really stuck with me. And it says, if I'm not working on recovery, I'm working on a relapse,
If
right?
if
And
you're
that,
not working on recovery, you're automatically working on relapse. There's no
yep.
middle.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah.
no
So
middle.
that's that.
Yeah.
I always think about this, and it's a great question to give ourselves, right? Like,
Yeah.
is this going to benefit my recovery? And if it's not, then I better not do it, right? Is this
Yeah.
going to potentially send me on a relapse? Then, if it is, then I better not do it. So
Yeah.
I thought that was very powerful. Now it is National Minority Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're really focusing on our Black and Brown people. And what is one thing as a Black man in recovery with a great solid foundation? What is one thing that you would tell either your younger self or somebody, a young Black man right now struggling with addiction?
Um, that's a good question. And because I'm in this field, um, one of the things that I always say is you got to keep the main thing. What is it that you want? What is it that you hope to achieve? Because I hear uh, on a daily basis, I don't want no more, and they'll go out the door and get some more because not dealing with what needs to be uh, dealt with. Uh, I often hold up a piece of paper and I ask my clients if this piece of paper represented your life, how much of it would be drugs and alcohol? And
Mm,
the overwhelming majority would say 75%, 80%, 90%. And then I would tear off a little corner and say, that's your drug and alcohol problem. The rest of it is you that needs to be
mm,
dealt with, right? If you deal with you, you'll never have to deal with that uh, again. So, yeah, ask them to focus on uh, the real issues that they may be um, facing. Uh, Majority of people that I've run across uh, just are not quite ready to stop.
mm,
Right?
mm,
I think, and for me, the pain of getting high had to outweigh the pleasure.
mhm.
Then I became willing, right?
Yeah.
As long as I thought, and I share this with my clients too, I would go to treatment, but I was trying to figure out how can I get high successfully.
Yep.
I didn't really want to quit. I just didn't want the consequences. There has to
Mhm,
be a way I can do this successfully. In 30 years, I did not find a way to get high successfully. Every time I use, I lose every
mhm.
single time.
Yeah.
There hasn't been a time that I benefited from being in active addiction. So I learned early on this time. Okay, well, using can no longer be an option. I have to find a new way to live. I didn't know how to do that.
Mhm,
That's where uh, the 12-step program came into play. That's where mentorship came into play. That's where sponsorship came into play. I stopped uh, hanging out with people who were not on the same path
mm,
that I was on. I
mhm.
say this to my clients. I stopped hanging out with chicken and pigeons. They're always pecking on the ground. I found myself some eagles, and they
Mhm,
taught me how to soar. My mentor, Alan Williams, I've been known for over pretty much all my life, over 60 years. And one of the things he taught me was consistency. Be
yeah.
consistent uh,
Yeah.
in your actions, in your behaviors. Uh, that has taken me a long way. Uh, when I give my word, I want to follow up and follow through on that. There's some integrity there now. There's some character there
Yeah.
now, and recovery has given me that because that's definitely a change. I was a chameleon. I would tell you whatever you wanted to hear as long as I could get what I wanted to get, but we're not that man today.
Consistency. That's good. I good. Well, thank you so much, Elijah, for coming on and doing this with us. This is an amazing, amazing interview. I've learned from you, and I
Yeah.
continue to learn from you. And this is just an amazing journey where we can learn from each other. And I'm
Yes.
so grateful for you. I really
Thank you.
appreciate you for coming on.
Yes.
But with that, tune in next time. We'll have another person in recovery next Wednesday. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll talk to you guys soon.
Yes.
Maybe this could be the day. Maybe it'll stay the same. But maybe this could be the start of something.